Colossus is the most advanced lineup optimizer in daily fantasy sports. Lock and exclude players. Adjust player exposure to reduce risk of injury or poor performance. Customize individual projections or upload your own projections. Generate hundreds of optimal lineups in seconds. Name and save the best lineups. Create winning lineups for the top sites like DraftKings and FanDuel for free at dailyfantasycafe.com.
Hello and welcome to the Audible, the quarterback analysis podcast. I'm Big Italy 42, here talking about quarterback options for Week 6, courtesy of @ZachScottMoxie once again. So make sure you check him out there on Twitter. And I'm running through his plays top to bottom, giving my take on him here as well. And the first one, your narrative street of the week, and that's Tom Brady against the Colts. Comes in at $9,000 on FanDuel, 81 on DraftKings, so he is expensive, but Vegas team total huge again, as it always is, with the Patriots, 31 plus points here, and facing a Colts team that, you know, this was the matchup that was the root of the entire Deflategate scandal. So whether you believe in narratives or not, Tom Brady has owned this team throughout his career either way, and also owning everyone else, leading the league in passing yards a game with 347, touchdowns per game at 2.75, Colts allowing nearly 300 passing yards a game, 6 total sacks this week. Pats are a 7.5-point favorite, so really the only negative against Tom Brady this week is the fact that maybe the Patriots do crush the Colts, and then he doesn't throw a lot in the second half, and we see a whole lot of LeGarrette Blount. But got to imagine if they get up big enough that Tom Brady's not throwing in the second half, got to think that he's got himself quite a bit of production beforehand in order to build that lead. So Tom Brady, got to be one of your top options. Next up, Aaron Rodgers for the Packers. And we saw last week he threw his first interception at home in about 3 years, threw 2 of them. But now facing a Chargers team and with a really nice Vegas total of 30. FanDuel priced 9,300, 77 on DraftKings. And Packers, like Zach mentions here, just behind the Patriots in that team total there. And the Chargers not allowing a lot of yards through the air, 218.8 yards a game, but yards per attempt, 7.8. A lot of that due to the fact that their defense has really struggled with the running game. But Rodgers still leading the league in touchdown passes with 13, second in quarterback rating. And he's a big favorite, 10-point favorite here, and may not need to throw a ton this week, but you got to imagine that he's going to have production when he does throw the ball. And, you know, the Chargers have an offense that's adequate enough that they should be able to compete long enough in this game to keep it close. So going to be interesting, especially with him getting Antonio Gates back. He was most of the offense last week with those 2 touchdowns against the Steelers. So monitor that situation next. And then next up, my hometown boy, Andy Dalton, or I guess hometown, not his hometown, my hometown. Andy Dalton has been incredible this season. 76 on FanDuel, 57 on DraftKings, and now facing off against a Buffalo team that has given up the 9th most fantasy points to quarterback, 274 passing yards per game. They have a very, very good run defense, so looks like this is a perfect scenario, perfect storm for Dalton. Throwing the ball down the field. He's had a ton of success. He's been getting the ball to Tyler Eifert, A.J. Green, Marvin Jones, even Mohamed Sanu late in that Seattle game. So confidence could not be higher riding with Andy Dalton coming off that big comeback win against Seattle. And DraftKings still really, really cheap. So it's only $700 more than minimum, despite the fact that he's been incredible so far this year. So got to like Andy Dalton in this matchup. Next up, Blake Bortles. He was on, for the second straight week, on a lineup that won at least $1 million. So this is a guy who's really turning around. $7,300 on FanDuel, only 52 on DraftKings. 601 yards and 5 touchdowns over those last 2 weeks. Obviously, 4 of those touchdowns this week. Vegas team total still low, 20.8, but the Texans have allowed the 8th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. We saw Matt Hasselbeck have a solid performance against them, despite not even being completely healthy, dealing with the flu, but 27 points per game to the Texans, 9 touchdown passes, and only 6 sacks total, even though they have J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, but looks like Clowney may end up missing this game as well. And assuming that Bortles is healthy, did have an injury at the end of the last game. I believe it was his shoulder. Looks like he's questionable, but the right side of questionable from what I'm seeing. So it looks like he should be good, but monitor his status before you lock him into your lineup there. Next up, an elite GPP play per Zach here. Andrew Luck, 8,600 on FanDuel, 76 on DraftKings. And the Colts, assuming that Andrew Luck is back and healthy, they're not going to win this game by running the football. They're going to stay in this game by passing the ball, and they're going to need a huge performance out of Andrew Luck. 23.8 point Vegas total. Obviously, Vegas expects them to be down much of this season, and Luck has not been good. 7 interceptions, only 5 touchdowns. Had a great fourth quarter the last game that he played against the Titans. And, the Patriots are not a great team against the pass. 1.5 touchdowns, 230 yards per game. But, this could be a game where, assuming that Luck's healthy, we see him throw 45-plus times because they're going to need it. And I imagine they're going to be playing from behind. So, Andrew Luck makes for a great contrarian type of play there. Eli Manning, another guy that has been quietly very, very good this season. And he looks like the better Manning right now. Peyton not doing too well. Obviously, he's the younger brother. He's still got some time before he falls off. But Eli's been great. And a solid matchup here. Not a bad price tag. 78 on FanDuel, 68 on DraftKings. Facing off, he's got 10 touchdowns, actually, with only 2 interceptions, 283 yards a game, coming off that performance last week where he threw for over 440 yards. And Eagles 26th in the league against passing yards per game, 280. And they have been really, really bad against the top wide receivers. And Odell Beckham, assuming that he's healthy here and plays, then this is going to be a big game for Eli. The running game has struggled. They've been relying on the pass, and Eli's been incredibly efficient in spreading the ball around to a lot of different receivers. So assuming that Odell Beckham is healthy, he should be, hopefully, then he makes for a great play once again. Next up, Brian Hoyer. We saw him as one of the better quarterback plays this week, and he didn't even start. We saw Ryan Mallett leave with an injury and then show his worst possible display of being a terrible teammate there, as he wasn't even cheering his team on. It seemed like he just didn't even care. I mean, it's a situation where if I'm the Texans, I just tell Ryan Mallett to pack his bag. Maybe I'd pack him for him. But either way, Ryan Hoyer has taken this job, a job that I thought he deserved from the beginning. But a matchup against the Jaguars, whose defense has been horrible. And Hoyer's looked good this season in 3 games. 260 passing yards a game, 5 touchdowns over 3 games. And those numbers, not even with full playing time, as we've seen. Mallett started the last game and played about an entire quarter there. So this is a Jags team allowing 260 passing yards a game, 3 total turnovers this season, and second to last in points allowed per game, 29. And now we've got Arian Foster here, so that's going to help give some balance to this offense as well. And Brian Hoyer, near minimum salary on DraftKings, only 67 on FanDuel. I think he makes for a really, really nice upside value play. Next up, E.J. Manuel, and of course this one contingent on Tyrod Taylor's status. We heard he's probably going to miss a few weeks, and then now we're hearing it's possible that he suits up. He says he's going to play. We'll see what the Bills say about that. I haven't heard anything from them. I would imagine they're going to be taking it easy with him. And Manuel, he's had a shot with the Bills before. Hasn't played yet this season, though. All signs are looking like he's going to start. Like I said, you got to monitor the status with Tyrod Taylor. It seems like it's more of one of those, the player wants to play type of thing, but the Bills probably not going to take that risk if it's not necessary, if he's not 100%. And the Bengals are allowing 263 yards a game through the air, only 20.2 points per game, not bad. But the Bengals should be up, and the Bills should be passing the ball. And we're looking at min salary on both FanDuel and DraftKings for E.J. Manuel there. So that's going to be an interesting play if Tyrod Taylor cannot go. And that will wrap things up for this week. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out the rest of our great content for NFL, college football, NHL, and coming very soon, NBA content as well. And we'll see you next time.